All right, I'm drinking one of these. Don't judge me. I got up early. This is the only one I'm having today. And I got a lot to do. I had an audition, and then I got ASMR to record for that client friend. So don't judge me. Alrighty, hey guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here for another video. This one, another voiceover day vlog. That's what I should be saying, not just another video. I mean, it's a YouTube channel. Of course, it's going to be videos. You idiot. I actually recorded this video a little while ago, but the lighting was weird, and so it had the weird slow rolling shutter thing. So redoing the video. Totally fine. And I wanted to do in this setup before I take all this down and set it up for the ASMR. But today we are talking about the difference between soundproofing and sound treatment. There's a lot of people who I've talked to, especially doing, coaching, email coaching, stuff like that, who have no idea what the difference is and think that they're interchangeable phrases or think that they're basically referring to the same thing. In many ways, they are. There's a couple things, and I have one of them here with me, that can basically be either or, but for the most part, these are two different phrases referring to two different things. And the basic difference is sound treatment doesn't prevent sound from getting in and out. And soundproofing doesn't necessarily change the sound within the recording space. So basically, soundproofing that's the hardest one to obtain, by the way. Soundproofing is the one that is the hardest to do. It normally means that you have to put up extra layers of drywall, mass-loaded vinyl, more insulation inside the walls. And if you're renting an apartment or you're renting a house and you can't really change anything, that's going to be the hardest one to do. Best case scenario, you're going to be able to put up blankets over the walls like I've done, but it's not going to be soundproof. Soundproof means that not only are you preventing noise from outside getting in, you're preventing noise from in here, you're yelling, you're talking, from getting out. You're preventing it from disturbing anyone else. That's going to be the hardest one to obtain, the hardest one to do. And so that one's also kind of the most expensive. Sound treatment, however, is where you actually change the frequencies, the standing waves and all that, inside the space. So sound treatment would be acoustic paneling, would be these foam panels right here. The way they're shaped is they break up the sound wave. So instead of it being a 90-degree angle, flat parallel surface for the sound wave to just bounce back and forth, and that's where you get that bass or that reverb. What it's doing is it's actually dispersing and breaking it off and kind of shotgunning it, throughout the space. So you're not really getting any reverb. You're not getting any bounce back because it gets bounced off, the sound wave gets bounced off these surfaces so many times that it's just become a very weak wave by the time it gets to the microphone. So that's treatment. And you can do that with a lot of things. You can do that with a big thick blanket that kind of, as long as it's not like a really, flat, hard blanket. Like there's some quilts that are basically just, there's no real loose fiber. It's just densely packed that may give you a little bit of reverb. But if it's loose, like just a comforter, then it'll probably be able to absorb some of those sound waves. Now, the thing that I have in here that is kind of a mixture of both is one of these guys. And nobody can see on this side of the wall. But because there are AC units on the other side of this wall outside, I now have a couple of these, I have 4 of these, which are acoustic panels. They're like bass traps. Let me get this over here so you can see it. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it in frame, but there we go. So it's about 4 feet tall and probably about 2-3 inches thick, and it is filled with, it's literally just a piece of rock wool, and then over it is painter's cloth that I have spray-on adhesive, wrapped it up, and then on the back, I have these little hooks, and I super glued this like canvas or burlap ribbon on, like very much heavy glued it, so that is not going anywhere. And then I just use these little hanger hooks, loops kind of thing. All this except for the drywall. I think I got the drywall at Home Depot, and I got this painter's cloth and these parts from Walmart, but you can also get it at like Home Depot, Target, stuff like that. And spray-on adhesive, same thing. Pretty much a one-stop shop except for the rock wool. Now, these things are not made out of pink insulation, the pink, what is it? Fiberglass. This is rock wool. So it is very much, it's easier to tolerate if you were to handle it without gloves, and it's going to do less damage to your lungs if you're not wearing a mask. I suggest still wearing gloves and wearing a mask regardless, because, you know, who knows? I have allergies and asthma and all that kind of stuff, so this would probably affect me a whole lot more if it wasn't densely wrapped up, and if I was handling it. I always handle it outside. If you got a porch or a patio or whatever, do all the construction on this thing outside. So these kinds of bass traps, because they are made of loose fiber, they're just loosely packed loose fiber, they basically act as both soundproofing, very light soundproofing, and sound treatment. This is kind of a middle ground between the two. It's not as good at deflection, and it's not good at sound absorption as other things. But if you could only make one thing, or you could only buy one thing for whatever reason, you can only get your hands on one thing, these would probably be a really good buy. Because it's loose fiber, any sound waves that's coming from the outside that's hitting the panel or going into the panel, those sound waves, those vibrations, because that's what sound is, it's just vibrating air, is getting trapped in the loose fibers. And so instead of moving freely through an air medium, or through the air, a medium like the air, it's getting trapped in the fibers, and the fibers are vibrating, absorbing that energy. And that's the same as you talking into them. So if you put it on your wall and you scream and shout, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to absorb a lot of that vibrating air, a lot of that frequency. So these are kind of a combination of soundproofing and sound treatment. But when you're thinking of sound treatment, what you're trying to do is you're trying to modify the space within where you're recording, like the space where you're recording. Soundproofing is what you're trying to do to the outside. You're trying to prevent the outside from getting in. That is soundproofing. Sound treatment, modifying or treating the air, or manipulating how your voice affects the space that you're recording in. And soundproofing is preventing bleed. Let's say that. Preventing bleed from the walls. Preventing from getting in and preventing from getting out. So, when you're thinking of your recording space, the first thing that you really need to focus on is not going to be soundproofing unless you are like in an apartment that's right beside the highway. Unless you are right beside the highway, then your biggest issue is going to be soundproofing. But if not, if you have an average level of noise outside, the average level of noise, the occasional upstairs neighbor, the occasional cars outside, then your goal, for most people, the goal is going to be sound treatment. And acoustic panels is probably the easiest way of addressing that. That's what most people should be focusing on. Not soundproofing, that's the hardest one to do, because if your goal is I don't want to hear anything other than my voice, I don't want to hear any noise outside, it's going to take a lot to get that done. It's going to take a lot. Even my space, thousands of hours dedicated to fixing this place up. Lots of money went into it. I still hear stuff outside. I'm still going to, because I can't really put too much on these walls, and I can't do anything about the space between the walls. There's probably barely anything between the drywall and the outside. There's probably barely anything, and I can't really do anything about that. So my goal is to focus on treating the space within here. That will get me the best results. So anyway, that's basically it. I just want to do a video focusing on this because it's a really big issue. And again, a lot of new people really have trouble discerning one between the other and not really knowing what the difference is. And I've talked about this a lot, especially on live streams, but I wanted to do a video just dedicated to this. So there you go. Yeah, if you guys liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new, bell for notifications, and leave down in the comment section below. Like to see me talk about any other video, or talk about any other topic, answer any of the questions, whatever. Email is down below, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, until next time, peace.